Welcome to Teal Talk, a podcast brought to you by the Ohio Alliance to End Sexual Violence. That's OAESV for short. We're your hosts, Taylor
and Lori.
In each episode, we speak with professionals in the field to dive deep into the intersectional issues that affect survivors in Ohio.
Before we begin, we want to give a content warning that we will be discussing sexual violence and other issues that may be upsetting and triggering. If you need help, please feel free to call our resource line at 888-886-8388 during regular business hours, or the Ohio Sexual Violence Helpline 24/7 at 844-644-6435. Please take care of yourself. Hello, and welcome back to Teal Talk. I'm your host, Lori Hurley, Resource and Engagement Manager here at OAESV, and today I am joined by Meg McKinney and Rachel Hiller, two incredible teammates who are going to be wrapping up their first year here at OAESV in February. So this episode is part reflection, part celebration, and part looking ahead. We talk about what it's really like to transition from local advocacy into statewide work, the moments that shaped them during their first year, and the programs and projects that made 2025 such a meaningful year for our movement. We also look ahead to 2026, what they're excited about, what they hope to learn, and how they see OAESV continuing to grow in its support of rape crisis centers, advocates, survivors, and communities across Ohio. If you've ever wondered what statewide advocacy looks like behind the scenes, or if you just want to feel inspired heading into a new year, you've come to the right place. Let's jump right in to my conversation with Meg and Rachel. It is always a good day when I have a fellow OAESV coworker in the podcast studio, but today I have two, so I'm feeling especially lucky. So Rachel and Meg, I would love if both of you could introduce yourselves, share a little bit about your roles, and how you came to OAESV.
I will go first. I am Meg McKinney. I'm the coordinator of coordinated community responses here at OAESV. I work under the fabulous Nicole Cass-Colvin, who did this work before me, and so did Chandra, actually. I was working for the Rape Crisis Center in Franklin County called SARNCO, Sexual Assault Response Network of Central Ohio. Woo-hoo. I had several opportunities to work with Nicole out in the field, actually. We presented one time for the military here in Columbus. And so meeting Nicole and learning more about OAESV and like the reach that OAESV has. And just like every time I met somebody from OAESV, they were like really happy and enjoyed their job, and their presentations were phenomenal, led me to OAESV.
I love how your title is basically coordinator of coordinating.
And I laugh almost every time I have to announce it.
Well, thanks for being on the pod today, Meg.
Thank you.
Cool. I can go next. My name is Rachel Hiller. I'm the program coordinator. I work under the training/programming team. But I am really lucky where I get to work with a lot of the different teams at OAESV, which I really enjoy. I came to OAESV from a prevention position at a local program, and I was a huge fan of OAESV and all the resources and events everyone put out. Like Meg said, everyone I met was so lovely. And my coworkers and I at the time would always lament, like, wouldn't it be the dream to work there? Like, I think that was actually a term we used, was, wouldn't that be the dream? But they never turn over, so they never have job openings. So it felt like winning the lottery to see a job opening and then to get the position.
Oh, I love that. Thanks, Rachel. Well, for our listeners who may or may not know, the reason that I have both of you on for this episode is because we're essentially capping off your first year at OAESV. You both came on staff in February of 2025. So in this episode, I'm hoping that we'll just chat about what it's like to work here, reflect on the excitement and challenges and lessons learned that you had in 2025, and then also look forward to year 2 and all that's ahead in 2026. So thank you both so much for giving us a little taste of who you are and what brought you to OAESV. You both shared a little bit about what it was like on the outside, thinking, oh, wouldn't it be the dream to work at OAESV? So what is it like now that you're here? I'd love to know your first impressions of statewide advocacy. You both mentioned that you came from local programs. So what is one thing that surprised you in working in anti-sexual violence work on a macro level versus the micro level, as we like to say?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I did hospital advocacy at Sarnco, and when people around the state in like adjoining counties, like we referred them to somebody else, and there's really great rape crisis centers all over the place, so not a problem. But switching over to that like wider mindset, the needs of people within Franklin County are going to be vastly different from the people, over in Fairview or Cuyahoga. So just like learning, some of those differences and nuances. I think the other huge thing for me was I knew that OAESV was tapped into legislation as far as like looking at the bills that are coming through and going down to the State House for Advocacy Day. But I didn't realize like how, much like we have in relationships with those people and the people who are making laws. And that part was amazing and cool.
When I was at a local program, I was on a smaller team, and learning about OAESV was really great because it felt really good to have such a trustworthy guidance there from OAESV. The TA opportunities, so like being able to reach out if we had a specific question, was really good to know. But then also I was always looking to OAESV for resources, referrals, trainings, community spaces, all that type of stuff. And it was always trustworthy. It was always so solid. So I really appreciated that. When I was applying and eventually getting the job, people would always ask a bunch of questions, but one of the questions was always like, oh, how big is this organization? And I really didn't know. So I would always say, you know what? I actually have no idea. But based on the work they do, I'd say probably like 50 people.
We wish.
And it's half that. I think we're a little under 30. And that was after several of us got hired. So yeah, I just thought that was really funny that I was like, oh, I'm sure there's like 50. It's an army over there. And then no, it's just a smaller handful of just incredible people.
I love how you called it an army, because we are in our own way. Like technically we're a coalition, but we metaphorically have an army of folks and members and the general public and survivors all fighting the good fight together. So we're never alone.
Yeah.
Being in the first year at your job sometimes still feels like you're a beginner. You're like, it's been almost a year and I still feel like I'm learning the job and learning the role. Super relatable. Are there any moments or memories from your first year that really stick out to you? I want to talk about your proudest moments or your biggest wins. And it doesn't have to necessarily be you specifically, but just talking in general about OAESV. Are there any moments that stick out to you?
There's several, but the first one that really comes to mind is Advocacy Day. So I know that the rape crisis centers around Ohio get invited, but I had never gone. And so going and seeing the level of professionalism, the thoughtfulness that was put into it was incredible. Listening to the survivors speak, again, incredible, but also like being able to go with a group of people to talk to people, voting and making those laws was I would say life-changing, because it's like one thing to like look at the news and see it, but then actually like to go and do it, it's incredible.
Hey, you heard it here first. I'm turning that into a promo reel for Advocacy Day. You can join us April 15th, 2026.
Heck yeah. Yeah, Advocacy Day is amazing. It's such a tangible exercise of our collective action that OAESV facilitates. And it's so incredible. And to participate in it, because I did get to participate in it before I worked for OAESV, you just really are set up for success when you participate, which is really amazing. Another signature event that I have really enjoyed reflecting on has actually been the Training Institute. So the Training Institute being the 40-hour training that OAESV hosts asynchronously and synchronously for a week to train new advocates or anyone who needs a little refresher on things like best practices. It's a really, really amazing training. And in the spring, Meg and I both got to participate in it and take it, which was a great experience. And we do it twice a year. So now in the fall, in less than a year, Meg and I have both now facilitated at it as well and led role play groups, because we do role plays at the end of the week. And then just because of my position, I've also been heavily involved with a lot of the behind the scenes work, like updating the online course and stuff like that. So that has been really cool to reflect on, because in less than a year, because we do it twice a year, we've been able to see our trajectory. Sorry, Meg, I don't want to speak for you, but
Go for it.
I have seen my trajectory and Meg's growing, and it's really, really encouraging.
I would agree with that. And Rachel's probably downplaying herself, but Rachel is a rock star, everybody, a complete rock star. The thing with Rachel and I when we came in is we kind of hit the ground running, because we are both really, and I am going to speak for you on this one because I know this, but we are are passionate about this work and really believe in the cause and helping people and giving back to our communities in this way. So, that part has just been absolutely fantastic. One of the other things that I wanted to mention too is that the leadership here does an amazing job of encouraging all of the employees to use their creativity and their knowledge. One thing that Rosa always reminds us is that we are the experts. And that too has been incredibly empowering. So like one of the things that I did independently was make a rack card for the CCRT team, marketing all the services that we provide, everything that we do, to like have that backed. It's amazing. It helps when leadership believes in you, that imposter syndrome like starts to fade. And that is incredibly empowering. And I'm super grateful for that personally.
I was hoping you would mention some of the resources that your team has published, because it felt like you were hitting us with another one and another one and another one.
Yeah.
There were so many being churned out.
Mm-hmm.
Something that comes to mind for me is our long-term housing program. I feel like it has just taken off in the past year. We had offered short-term transitional housing and put survivors up in hotels, but now we've been able to support with rent for longer-term housing solutions. And Jasmine, our housing manager, has been so essential in that work.
Oh, totally. She has been phenomenal. And I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she was recognized this past year for all that hard work that she's put in and like built what that program is. And it's incredibly important, especially now.
Yes.
With, the housing market being what it is. Won't go into that, but it's incredibly important for us to have that kind of a program with that kind of like a huge backing and support to survivors right now.
Yeah, like her housing model is considered best practice.
It's amazing.
You both mentioned that you're extremely passionate about this work, and that makes sense, starting out at a local program and still continuing on into this work at the state level. How has your perspective on advocacy, or just this field in general, changed since joining OAESV?
That's another good question. Lori's coming strong today.
It's my journalism background.
Yeah, it is.
It is. I love it. I'm like, oh my. So I think when you hear the term advocacy, that can be a really broad term, right? And it may not be specified down into like different types of advocacy. There's legal advocacy, there's hospital advocacy, all of the things. It has caused me to feel like this could become a professional degree with the amount of learning, amount of work, amount of understanding that goes into it. I'm so glad that it is credentialed, but I also passionately feel that there should be like protections in place for advocates with what they do. And I just think it should be recognized nationally. It's incredibly important.
Yeah, kind of similarly, I think something that I'm far more aware of now as part of an organization that's really putting in a very focused effort, more aware now than when I was at a local program of the very concentrated and intentional efforts that are being reflected in our state and nationally to care for advocates and care for those working in the field. That's something we are seeing nationally, which is great. And I think OAESV is reflecting that, but also really driving that. I think OAESV is absolutely like a national leader in terms of the best ways to care for people doing this work, and trying to build community. And again, the steps we take, like we have a self-care retreat for advocates. That's incredible. I have no idea how many other states, if any, are doing things like that. Yeah, OAESV is just really at the forefront of being very intentional about making very conscious efforts to care for those who are doing this work, which is sustainable. Like, obviously, we're a people-centered field, so we need to take care of those who are taking care of others, but it's sustainable. It's better for our movement when people can stay here longer and serve survivors better when they're not being burned out. So that has been something that has been really cool to see and be part of. And I'm very excited for how that will keep hopefully expanding.
Yeah, I don't know the structures of other types of social change organizations, but from what I've seen, I really can't think of any others aside from sexual and domestic violence that have an organization that's specifically in existence to take care of the people working directly with survivors. As statewide coalitions, we exist predominantly to support folks working directly with the people who are impacted by the issue that we're trying to eradicate. Like, it's a very unique concept. So when people ask me what I do for work, I'm like, do you want the full story? Like, do you want to know it all? Like, we're leading statewide change through public policy, but we're also here to provide continuous education and support. But we're also just kind of like, hey, how's your mental health? Are you being paid fairly? Are there any structural issues at your organization that we can help you work through? You know, what does your community look like? Are there certain groups of people that you're struggling to connect with? And can we support and help you build those relationships? You know, I never started out in advocacy. As I mentioned, I was a journalist, but I found my way here. I've said this multiple times on the podcast, but I always say, like, all roads lead to advocacy, or all roads lead to prevention. You know, the universe knew I'd end up here one day.
Yes.
So by the time this episode comes out, it will be 2026. I'd love to shift us in this conversation to looking forward. And I'm wondering if there are any initiatives or projects or goals that you have or that you're excited about, whether that be personally in your role or in your team.
I would say the biggest one, and I will speak for Nicole on this one too, is that we are almost done with updating Ohio's sexual assault response team model, the SART model. Woo woo. And that will be available in 2026. And I'm very excited about that moving forward because it was done in a way that is talked about in the model. Okay. One of the big focuses, especially for CCRT, is ending like a lot of like silo work, meaning, if the forensic nurses are doing their thing, they're doing their thing. And over here, law enforcement's doing their thing. Over here is advocacy is doing their thing. But getting, all of those people to the table to sit down and like talk about, where are some of those gaps, what's working well, is all within that model. We consulted so many people from so many different community partnerships who put in time and work into this model. It's really comprehensive, it's really thoughtful, and it's going to be extremely user-friendly with like links to things and templates and samples. And you should be able to just go to an area that you're focusing in on to kind of, get that information. But at the same time, all of it is there. So I'm very excited about that coming up, as well as I'm going to do a symposium at the end of the year where we really talk about ending silos and what that really looks like and kind of actually doing the work during it with a resource fair for the community. And so I'm just really excited. I'm excited. I like giving back.
Oh, I have a real quick follow-up question before we hear from Rachel, because I definitely want to hear from Rachel too. But Meg, what is one thing that you hope to learn or accomplish in your second year here?
Oh, I am unfortunately, I am one of those people that will always like want to hit the ground running. And so it was like, I don't want to say frustrating because I don't think it was that, but there was something going on at the beginning where like, I know the work, right? But I have to learn how OAESV works. So I think for me in that second year of having more of a grounding within the organization and knowing everybody and what they do and how people intersect, I think that running will actually turn into running. So I'm really excited about that part of it.
How about you, Rachel? Are there any new projects or goals that you're excited about? And then what is something that you hope to learn or accomplish in your second year?
Yeah, just to nerd out for a minute, resource management is not necessarily a term I would have been using a year ago, but has really come to encompass a lot of my passion and work in this position. I think that's something that not a lot of us were expecting because this is a brand new position. So there was a lot of freedom and a little ambiguity. But I'm very, very excited about resource management in terms of finding ways to intentionally create space and access for new and existing programs and resources. So, for example, we do a seasonal training series almost every season. We have pathways now that those will become asynchronously available for those who weren't able to make it, or the resources that were developed there and the knowledge that was shared in those containers can now be available, indefinitely later on. So that's really exciting to me. It really aligns with just my passions and what I enjoy working on, but also one, it's giving new life to the amazing programs and resources that our staff and our partners produce. Like our staff and our partners produce incredible content that absolutely deserves platform and audience because it will benefit advocates, it will benefit survivors. So hoping that having this additional platform for some of the work that's, already being done can help further that impact. Very hopeful about that, very much looking forward to that aspect of touching kind of all the work that OAESV does, especially in terms of training and materials and stuff like that. In terms of something I want to learn or accomplish, so much. I feel like I have everything to learn because kind of like makes it like we're surrounded by experts. Everyone in this organization and so many of our partners and stuff like that are the experts. And I don't think I'm there yet, but I think it's within reach. And I'm really excited to learn more about OAESV and what our partners in our local programs are doing, forming relationships with our programs, our partners, staff at local programs, because I see so many staff just reference like, oh yeah, this program does this. Oh, this person at this program is a good person to lean on for this. And just having that kind of Rolodex of knowledge that's just secondhand that you can pull from. I really hope to be there soon. I hope to be at that point. So forming those relationships, getting that better knowledge and contributing to collaborations.
Oh man, Rachel, you said that so much more eloquently than I did.
Disagree, but that's okay.
I love all that you both shared, and I resonate so deeply with that feeling of just trying to figure everything out in your first year. Truly, I think when I talk to both of you at this time next year, you're going to be like, I can update my resume with 700 new things. Something I'm excited about from the communications team is that we are hosting a 3-part series on media engagement skills for survivors and community partners. So speaking about survivors specifically, if a survivor is looking to connect with the media to share their story, the training will teach them how to do that while still taking care of their own well-being. I feel like trying to navigate public speaking in this area of work can often feel tricky. So this training specifically is to support media engagement and speaking confidently to the media through a trauma-informed approach. So I think that'll be super exciting. And that's happening in February, so right around the corner. It's also a great training for community partners that are looking for ways to engage with the media about what's going on at their organization and to be able to stay on topic when journalists are perhaps swerving the conversation in a different direction. So definitely check that out. You can register at oaesv.org/calendar as always. Another thing I am excited about is that as an organization in general, we're doing a lot of data projects. So I'm excited to see all of those come into fruition in 2026 and to start actually getting numbers and figures that we can dig into and play with. I'm sure our listeners know there really aren't that many data points about sexual violence, and we've been throwing around that 1 in 5 statistic for ages, but we definitely know it's more than 1 in 5. So I'm really looking forward to having some updated figures that are Ohio specific.
Me too. I am really glad that we're doing an emphasis on that. And shameless plug, but if there's any SART teams or CCRT teams out there, please let me know that you're there so we can put you on our listserv and have everybody talking and get some of those numbers in so we can represent all the hard work that all of us across the state are doing.
I would love to connect with more local programs who are struggling with their communications. You know, I feel like there's always that one person at a rape crisis center who does 7 billion things, and then they're also just doing social media.
Yep.
So I'm like, how can I help make your life a little easier? You know, are you struggling with graphics? Is it caption writing? Is it email copy? I definitely want to lean into the technical assistance portion of my role a little bit more because I don't do that enough, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I've helped a few programs here and there with podcasting, which has been really cool. But yeah, come to me with your questions.
Yeah, there's no one better.
Aw, shucks. We're also accepting applications for our Survivor Empowerment Advisory Council. So in 2025, we had a panel of survivors at our conference, and they reviewed a lot of our resources to make sure that they were centering the voices of survivors. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what opportunities will be in place for survivors to truly lead this work in 2026.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that actually reminds me of one more. we had a group of survivors who came and worked with us and a contractor. They worked on doing a 5-minute video talking about their story and how it impacted them. And now we have put them into our coalition manager, and people will be able to ask to use them in teaching whomever, if it's advocates, law enforcement, whomever, from that standpoint. And I'm so excited now that that's going to be opened up for people to request to use. And it kind of, goes along with the project that you're talking about.
Yeah. And very needed too. Like it's all too common, and we're learning this even more every day, but it's all too common where even if someone's, a survivor is willing to share their story, they don't always have I don't want to say skills, because it's not like a lacking on their end, but a lot of the systems that utilize survivor voices are not always set up to be healthy and a positive experience for the survivor. We are hearing all the time about survivors that are having negative experiences. So building that skill set, that knowledge set to prepare someone to go into opportunities like that on their own terms and with the confidence to know how to kind of advocate for themselves and their voice, I think is so exciting. So I'm really excited about a lot of the survivor initiatives we have coming up for next year.
Well, to end this episode, I was wondering if either of you are comfortable sharing one thing you're personally looking forward to outside of work for 2026. I don't know if you're the kinds of people who like pick a word of the year or have a goal in place, but would love to hear. You're like, I haven't even thought that far.
No, let me preface this. So I feel like for a long time, my life with work was not always balanced. So I think mine is more of like a muted goal, so to speak. It's not like this like tangible thing, but I think for me, like having just like a very balanced family where everybody is like healthy and happy, and our 2 enormous dogs are happy and healthy and trained, and I don't know, having a good balance and everybody around me is happy too.
I love it.
Yes. The past couple years, I've been on a bad streak of like something at least mildly traumatic happening to me in the like either winter, like end of year, beginning of year. So especially sometimes I'll like set a goal and I'll be feeling really good about the new year, and then it's like, oh, maybe not. Maybe we got to switch to like survival mode for a bit. But kind of with that, I am financially stable for the first time in my life, and that has just like turned everything around. And with the opportunity that comes with that, and just the work environment being so much better, like people in my life keep telling me like I'm a different person, like I'm different to be around. And I can tell I'm a better person in the relationships I have in and outside of work because of the healthy environment that I get to work in every day, and like beyond healthy, enriching, whatever the opposite of traumatic is. So that has been really exciting. I feel like I have more time, energy, resources to invest in myself, my relationships, causes outside of work. So that's probably what I'll be focusing on, is like how to harness this abundance I now have. And it's uncharted territory for me. So I think I'll have some fun playing around with that.
That makes me so happy for you, Rachel. Like truly happy. And part of that like makes me want to tear up because I have the same experience going on. What about you, Lori?
Well, I'm realizing I should have phrased that question a little bit differently, as in, what do you want more of in your life? Because sometimes I feel like people are always trying to get us to set goals and be productive, but sometimes it just boils down to I want a little bit more of X, Y, and Z and a little less of X, Y, and Z. And you don't have to focus too much on exactly the steps to get there, but like cultivating an environment where it'll naturally just happen. So yeah, if I had to pick a very specific goal, is to hopefully buy a house with my husband.
Yes.
But yeah, other than that, I want to spend more time with my niece and lean into auntie life and just say no to more things. I tend to be a yes woman. Sometimes I just want to be by myself and my people. You know, the older I get, the more I'm like, I just want to be alone. Just get off my lawn.
And that's totally like fair and awesome. And honestly, I think it speaks to like the millennial experience. Well, I think, one of the things that has been brought up nationally is millennials care more about balancing their time than they are with like earning titles. They don't want to work 80 hours a week just to be able to live. They want that balance. And so, but it's like when you get on an airplane and they tell you to put your mask on first before anybody else, you have to have that level of self-care. You have to have that level of balance, or the way that you're showing up is not going to be good for anybody involved. So
yeah, but I've also started saying like the music is too loud. So this is 31, I guess. Well, thank you both so much for being on the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. Also, this is so surreal. And I told one of my former coworkers, like, I'm going to be on the Teal Talk podcast. That podcast that we listened to and like sent to everybody else. This is so surreal.
I can't believe I forgot about that. When I first met Rachel, she shared with me that she listens to Teal Talk, and I felt like a pop star. Like, I felt like someone approached me walking down Hollywood Boulevard and was like, "You're my favorite artist." So I love that you love being on Teal Talk.
It's wild. Yeah, I met you and I was like, wait, you run the podcast? Wait. No, so this has been really fun. Thank you so much for having both of us on. This has been just a really fun conversation.
Yay, I love it. And if you're listening to this episode and thinking, I want to be on a podcast, well, email me and we'll see what we can do to make that happen.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you both so much.
Thanks.
Thanks for listening to Teal Talk. We hope you enjoyed our deep dive into intersectional issues affecting survivors in Ohio. If you like what you heard, subscribe and leave us a 5-star rating and review, recommend us to a friend, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at OAESV and Twitter at Ohio Alliance ESV. If you'd like to learn more about us and the services we offer, sign up for our email list, or read a transcript of this episode, visit oaesv.org.
Want to share a comment or ask a question for a future episode? Just click on the link in the show notes to leave us a voicemail. And remember, we're here to help. Feel free to call our resource line at 888-886-8388 during regular business hours, or the Ohio Sexual Violence Helpline 24/7 at 844-644-6435. See you next time.
Off the record real quick, if you guys mess up at any point, you can just pause and start over.
Thanks. Thanks for looking out.
This is not live. If it was live, I would never do it. Okay.
But Lori, you're so awesome.